Thank you so much for joining us on what will become a first alert weather day for your morning commute. I am King 5's Parella Lewis. So happy to see you here. We're tracking snow in the Cascades with the potential for lowland snow tomorrow morning for your morning commute with some slick spots on roadways. We'll get to that in a minute, but we're also tracking snowfall for the foothills and possibly right along the coastline as well, especially right along Highway 101. This is a live look at Snoqualmie Pass, by the way, which has seen multiple impacts all season from recent storms and, of course, the lack of snow. Despite a sunny Sunday, snow fell in the mountains and passes most of the weekend with below average temperatures all weekend long. Cooler temperatures are moving in from the northwest. That's the Gulf of Alaska, finally bringing in that cooler pool of air from off the North Pacific in the snowfall in the mountains. Well, that's going to continue off and on, and the passes as well all this week. Here's the thing, our snow levels, they're going to be down. Are you ready? Between 500 and 1,000 feet all week long. But during those morning commutes, that can get pulled down to maybe 200-300 feet, so down a little bit lower each morning. That's why we've issued tomorrow as a first alert weather day. Some of that snow coming down to the ground, mixing in with some of that lowland rain. It's going to be down all week, moving up to 1,500 feet by the weekend, but that still means the passes are in play for more snow. Of course, timing is everything, and it looks like the first real chance of early morning snow could be tomorrow morning. It'll be favoring the South Sound, the Hood Canal, the southern Kitsap Peninsula, and the extreme North Sound. Bellingham actually picking up on a little bit of snowfall earlier today. This map shows how low Washington snowpack is currently, especially in the western region and the Cascade. Most of our areas seeing roughly 40 to 80% of the normal or seasonal average snowpack so far. The snow is expected this week, and that, of course, is a good thing. So we are hoping that this winter, which has been disappointing for skiers and snowboarders and snowshoers alike all across the region. But King 5's Bridget Chavez reports from Snoqualmie Pass with the latest on our snowpack.
By this point in the season, there's typically more snow than this, and right now skiers and snowboarders are dodging rocks, creeks, and bare spots, signs of a winter that never really showed up.
Not the best ski conditions, for sure. Feels like spring ski in February.
Instead of deep powder, riders at Snoqualmie Pass and Alpental are dealing with conditions more typical of March or April.
Pretty slushy. West was like so low visibility. We're only seeing about 10 feet in front of us.
And where snow should be filling in the mountain, hazards are opening up.
This one's new. We got a little hair there. Nice little gouge. Tried to hit some rocks.
Those conditions line up with what snowpack data is showing across the Pacific Northwest. This map shows snowpack levels. For Central and South Puget Sound and the Olympic Mountains, snowpack is less than 50% of normal for this time of year. And in Oregon, Mount Hood Ski Bowl has suspended all skiing and riding operations indefinitely due to severe lack of snow and heavy rainfall.
When NASA looked at the snowpack, in the month of January, it was like a thin winter coat when it should be a big fluffy one at this point.
Some riders say the lack of snow has turned the mountain into something closer to an obstacle course.
Rock sticks, creeks, holes, waterfalls, icicles, anything you can imagine, it's up there.
Every run comes with more risk.
Sometimes you have to check and see if you have any edges left.
Climate scientists say what's happening on the slopes is part of a much broader pattern across the West.
The snow drought that's happening for the entire western U.S., including the Pacific Northwest, is the worst snow drought of record.
Without consistent snowpack, experts say the impacts could stretch far beyond ski season, affecting water supplies and an earlier start to wildfire season.
And if we don't see timely rains as we go through the warmer month of the year, then we could see that fire danger extend further into the back half of the year as well.
But there is one upside riders point to.
No lines whatsoever.
Climate experts say that even if colder weather and more snow return this season, it likely won't be enough to rebuild the snowpack. At Snoqualmie Pass, Bridget Chavez, King 5 News.
When we come back, we're going to take a complete look at your forecast, which of course includes your morning commute and the reason for our first alert weather day. A lot more details. Stay tuned. let's take a live look. Traffic right now is actually okay for most of us as we take a live look out at I-5. This is going to be one of the roadways that we will be watching as we go into each day this week. I think for Seattle proper, the better chance of seeing some few flurries will likely be Wednesday morning, but it all kind of gets going tomorrow morning, and that's where we have our first alert weather day. So let's go ahead and get you out to that tomorrow morning for essentially your morning commute. We've got our first alert weather day with some rain mixing in with snow at times. Now let me just start off by saying this is not going to be widespread. This is not going to be a ton, but it will be isolated and it will be slick in spots enough that our weather team don't want you to get caught off guard. I wouldn't want to slide around on a high hill and wonder what's going on or see some flurries and wonder why no one told me. So that is the reason. We want to make sure that you are safe on the roadways, especially early in the morning for that morning commute when it's still dark and you can't really see a whole lot. This, by the way, is courtesy of an area of low pressure. You could see kind of those bubbles out in the Pacific Ocean. That is what cold air looks like on a satellite. This is funneling down from Alaska, and that's why we have the colder temperatures, the lower snow levels, and it's also what's going to keep us cold as we go into the week and the weekend. Right now at this hour, just a few isolated showers. It is all rain except for the passes. As we head into tonight and tomorrow morning, many of us are going to reach freezing or a little bit above. Don't let that fool you, though. We're not going to stay that cold for long. So yes, we're going to briefly reach freezing, but any snow that falls won't really have the ability to accumulate because we'll get above that pretty quickly. And of course, the concrete, the cement, all of that is much warmer than freezing. So as we take a look at how much snow could accumulate mixing in with rain by tomorrow morning, you can see places like Chehalis, Olympia could get a little bit of that, even Puyallup, Shelton. So it's really the South Sound, the Hood Canal, Highway 101 already accumulating some of that snow in grassy areas. But we could see a little bit more. What about as we go a little bit further into the week? Well, as we go into Wednesday, that will also continue, by the way. So Wednesday morning, what's happening is each morning that snow level is nice and low. And with Seattle in play Wednesday morning for a few flurries mixing in with that rainfall, well, that's courtesy of a convergence zone, so parts of King County and further north. Tomorrow, it'll be further south. Here's how it's all going to play out. As we go into the early morning hours, you can see along Hood Canal, along Highway 101 near the coast. That's going to be the best chance of a little bit of snow. It's not going to be a lot. The rest of us will have snow mixing in with rain at times. As we go into your Wednesday morning, see that convergence zone setting up early, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, might linger till 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. So maybe some light accumulation in grassy areas on that day. Notice this is not widespread. Not everybody's getting anything, even rainfall, but it's going to be during the morning time frame when those snow levels are down to 300, 400, 500 feet. That will see a few of those flurries mixing in with rain, and then the rest of the day it will just be rain, if anything. Hey, over the weekend we did get a little bit of snow for the mountains and passes. Snoqualmie Pass about 3.5 inches of snow. Stevens Pass 4.5 inches of snow, and look at Crystal Mountain, a solid 6 inches of snowfall. Most of that came Friday and Saturday. We still have a winter weather advisory. This is in effect all the way until noon tomorrow for those areas we have covered, basically along the coast, Highway 101, all the way down into parts of the South Sound. These will be the areas that have the best chance of 1 to 3 inches of snowfall. The bulk of that will come during the morning. Here's what we're looking at in terms of our snow levels for the remainder of the week. This is incredible. This is the first time this season we've been able to show you this. And by the way, if we get any snow in Seattle beyond a trace, anything that we consider measurable, then that would break the snow drought. If we don't, and if we go throughout the rest of February into early March without any measurable snow, and I'm talking about even a little bit in Seattle, then that would be the first time Seattle proper did not see any lowland snow in about 34 years. So the fact that our levels are low enough to snow, we just need the moisture. So again, it's not going to be a ton, but there will be some out there. We'll see how much we measure, if anything, around the Seattle area. As we take a look at the passes here, you can see 3, 4, 5 inches of snow this week. I will say heading into the weekend, there's going to be more moisture available, so these snow levels we'll see a lot more snow pile up in the mountains and in the passes this weekend, but that snow level will be above 1,500 feet, so no lowland snow is expected heading into the weekend. So good news there. As we take a look, you can see our first alert weather day for tomorrow morning during your morning commute. Wednesday morning, we might need to add that one in as well because of that convergence zone that is likely going to set up early Wednesday morning. So just kind of a heads up, we may be adding to that. I will say as we go into Thursday and Friday, you still may see a few flurries mixing in with rain at times in various areas. Again, this is going to be spotty or isolated, but it will still be possible with those low snow levels. We just won't have as much moisture on Thursday, Friday. Not that we're going to have a ton tomorrow and Wednesday. It's just going to be less heading into the end of the week. Notice our overnight lows and our daytime highs. All of these are much colder than average for the first time in a long time, and it will be prolonged through the weekend. So the weekend, I do think we're going to see some more snow in the mountains and in the passes, and then potentially just some lowland rainfall heading into Saturday and Sunday. So we kind of try to get back to normal, just a little bit colder than average heading into the weekend. So there is your quick update. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to join us tonight at 9, 10, 11 on King and Kong, and of course right here on King 5 Plus for all of your news, weather, and sports updates. You can always find us right here. Thanks for joining us. Hope you have a great rest of the night.